Welcome, welcome. This is Dee with a Single Mama Guided Life, where we talk about finances, motherhood, being single, and everything in between. Thank you for stopping by and watching. Today's content is my mid-month check-in. So this is for my September budget. This is where I actually find out if I have been doing what I'm supposed to be doing thus far and if I need to make any adjustments. So as we get all of the sheets that I need to actually check on at this point, I'm just going to give you some life updates. I have not been feeling well for the last few days. I suffer with acid reflux, and I have been suffering with acid reflux for some years now. It has been come progressively worse, to the point where I do need to schedule for an appointment so they can kind of pinpoint what's actually causing it and if there's any way to help decrease it. So to get some history, is that when I was first diagnosed with it, it was due to me, again, not feeling well. But what was discovered is that the lining of my stomach was actually thinning, and it was due to some medication that I've been prescribed multiple times for multiple issues, and it just became a point where my body, the way it was reacting to it. So that particular medication can only be provided to me in small dosage and for short periods of times. So I thought that was the root cause. So fast forward to a couple years later, I had another attack, and the doctor, after prescribing another medication that didn't work, decided that the only thing that was left was my weight. So she asked that I lose a certain amount of weight. I did focus on losing weight, and I honestly, after losing the set amount, the attacks were more frequent. So I decided to reach out to a specialist. After listening to my history and doing some testing on his own, he decided to prescribe me a different class of medication, as well as to schedule me a test, like a culture and a study, so we can determine if I need to have surgery. Well, I was taking the medication for at least 30 days. I wasn't having really any issues. So I canceled that appointment. And additionally, it was like right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I wasn't really keen about going into any offices anyway, or any doctor offices or hospitals anyway. So I was totally fine with that. Fast forward to September 8th, I woke up, my body on fire, my chest hurt, my back hurt, my body aching, and I reached for the medication I had on hand. I tried some holistic things. I was trying to work, but it was not successful, that I ended up just taking half a day, and I slept the rest of the day. I woke up to Wednesday. I still wasn't 100%. I still was having the chest pain and the back pain, and I was still taking the medication, still trying the holistic things, still trying to do my work. But when I was done with work, it was time for me to go to bed. And so on Thursday, which was today, I woke up and I wasn't feeling 100%, but I was able to move a little bit more quickly, as well as I was able to make myself something to eat. I was being very mindful what I ate today, as well as what I drank. I don't want to do anything to aggravate the situation, so it will not be any Prosecco in my future until I'm 150%. I did decide that I am going to reach back out to the doctor and reschedule for the testing, because I need to know if I do need surgery, because this has gone on too long. And the thing about it is the residual behind the acid reflux is that I am very fatigued, and so it can go for days that way. So I need to refuel my body somehow by putting the right things in to get the energy. Another life update is we decided to go ahead and have my son apply for college instead of waiting. A lot of the colleges that he wants to apply to have omitted standardized testing, so there's no reason for us to delay. So we went ahead and applied for one, and he's working on his second one, which does require an essay. So I know you came to this video like, what is she talking about her life for? And we came to talk about her money. Well, when I do my mid-month, it's about not only my wealth, but it's about my health, my mental and physical. And I also deep dive in my spiritual. I do my spiritual check-ins to make sure that I am building that relationship with God and spending time with him. So without further ado, so now let's go ahead and get into this budget real quick. So for the monthly budget overview, mid-month check-in, I do glance over my financial goals to see exactly where I'm at. Basically, for the medical debt, I don't have a plan, and like my other debts, I was able to have a clear plan set in place, but this one, the medical debt one, I don't, because it's kind of like, it's a lot of math involved. I have to figure out the best way to attack this. Should I attack it by just sending as much money, or should I have a set amount each month to make sure that I'm reaching a particular goal? I don't know. So we'll see about that. I have received at least one of my paychecks at this time, so I was able to go ahead and pay all of the expenses for those paychecks. And as you can see, all the ones in purple have been checked, because not only have I made the payments, but I have verified that they have cleared my account. Now, a funny story. When I did my paycheck breakdown and I went through after ending the video and start paying the bills, I honestly have forgot the life insurance. And luckily, the life insurance wasn't due until the 9th. So when I realized, it was like that Friday, the 4th. And when I said, did I make that payment? Because everything else has been coming like cleared. Because I paid this on August 28th, because my monthly budget for September started August 28th. So I knew that by the 4th of September, all of these items should have cleared. That one had not cleared, and come to find out why I didn't clear is because I didn't pay it. I don't know how I missed it, but I caught it in enough time, and then I actually got a little nervous that maybe I did pay it and I just couldn't see I paid it, and then I had to call, and then I had to talk weird to somebody because they kept responding as if they weren't answering my question. So finally I said, I just need to know if there's only one payment. And so she said, yes, the one you made today. Okay, we good. Goodbye. Have a great day. So yeah, so that's why I only place checks when it clears my account, because that helps me verify that they've actually been paid. Okay, so yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Now for our transaction log, which basically talks about the unbudgeted portion. So we all have transactions that make us happy, sad, mad, so on and so forth. And so this is usually where I evaluate my unbudgeted transactions. So a lot of these transactions was due to happiness. My sister did come into town, so I wanted to gift her an item from out of my friend's shop. So I did purchase that, as well as I treated her to breakfast before we went on our day trip to a winery. And so additionally, a funny story is that I gave my son a product for his hair because he was complaining about an issue he was having. So he kept bringing the product back to my room each time he used it. And I finally told him, this is yours. I'm giving it to you. Do not bring it back. Well, it showed back up on my dresser last Thursday, but it was empty. So I guess that was my clue that he wanted me to go ahead and replace it for him, but I let him know I do it this time, but next time it's up to him. Additionally, I got a refund for an item that I received. It came damaged, and they wanted me to return the product back, or the item back, but it was 50 pounds, so that was not happening. So they just went ahead and refunded me the $10 because it was just one particular piece. Now we into the spending tracker. As we can see, of course, we've been busy for week 1. And so for week 1, as we know, we started with a balance of $68.06 for our cash envelope, our cashless envelope categories. So each category started with a little bit more than what was deposited, which was great. So let's see exactly what we actually spent. So let me just make sure y'all can see everything. So right now I'm just looking over the transactions and matching them with the categories, and then taking the total amount and placing that in the spent column of my weekly check-in. So for Fun Money, I spent $23.52. Gifts, I didn't spend anything. For groceries, I did spend a little bit more in the first week due to the fact that we had the holiday dinner that I moved from Monday to Sunday because we had a company. So I ended up spending $154.75. Now for household, I had a couple of transactions with the household, and those transactions totaled to be $42.55. Then for personal, I had a couple items I picked up, as well as I did have some services. So I ended up spending $47.75. And then for restaurants, I only had two transactions of $15.02. So now I'm just going to subtract the spent from the budgeted, which was Funny Money was $30.39. So I ended with $60.87. For groceries, I started with $206.29 and I ended with $51.54. For household, I started with $44.95 and I ended with $2.40. For personal, I started with $66.48 and I ended with $18.73. And then for restaurants, it was $24.95 and I ended with $9.93. I just checked to make sure that the last transaction for each category shows this remaining balance. So for Fun Money, this was the last one, so that's checked. Then we have groceries, and that was $51.54. Then we have household, that was $240. Then we have personal, and that was $18.73. And then let's go to restaurants, and it was $9.93. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring over those totals to the next week to see exactly what I had to work with for the second week. And I primarily spend more in the first week than I do the second week, but I also wanted to highlight what I'm spending for my first paycheck. So that's why I'm highlighting the days, as well as I'm highlighting the weeks purchases as well, so I kind of know exactly which categories goes or which transaction goes with each week. So I'm just going ahead and filling out this information at this time. Like I said, that it wasn't that much that I did in the second week because I did most of it during the first week at this time. So we're just going through and verifying the categories and the amounts are correct. And the one hiccup I did see is my handwriting. I don't know why I didn't erase that, but I couldn't tell if that was a P or R. So I had to look at the actual transaction itself or description to actually know what it was to determine which category it should go in. So yeah. Check. So restaurants is $1.71. Personal was $7.50. Household was $2.40, and that's we haven't spent anything, so that's correct. For groceries, it's $22.24. And then for the remaining, for Fun Money, is $1.88. So that all checked out. So we good to go. So all I do is go ahead and for the third week, I'll take whatever's remaining here, anything that I deposit, and that will start off our third and fourth week. All right, so that's good to go there. So we can go ahead and move that out the way. Now, I did notice an issue when I filled out my weekly check-in sheet, so I had to redo it. So for my weekly check-in sinking funds, for the first week, I made a deposit of $25 into car maintenance and a deposit of $30 in gas. I did spend $22 out of car maintenance and $26.10 out of gas. And lastly, $60 out of Papa's fund for his college application. For week 2, I made a deposit in car maintenance of $30, a deposit of $30 in gas. I spent $26.64 in gas, I spent $55 from our vacation fund because we did have that little day trip that I talked about earlier, as well as I did have to pull out of my medical sinking fund of $179.77 that went towards that medical bill that I did receive for the services that I had done back in August. Weekly check-in of the cashless envelope systems. I'm okay with what's remaining. Compared to what was added to and what was remaining in each category, it's kind of disappointing, but I'm okay with what's going on. It was used and it wasn't frivolous. It was a lot of thought behind what I have been spending. So I'm fine with that. So it was just like, besides the how to tackle this medical debt, I think I'm on task for the other two financial goals, and it doesn't like there's any adjustments that I need to make with my finances. So thank you for watching. If you want to continue to see content from me, hit that like button. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Please leave a comment and share this with your friends, families, and coworkers. Peace out.